How the shift is ready, already complete, already waiting for you. As you listen, you'll awaken to the quantum truth. Your reality exists now, in this eternal present. Step into recognition and watch life transform instantly. The shift is ready. Introduction. In the silent weave of eternity, a truth shimmers just beyond the veil, hidden not by distance but by its nearness. The shift you long for has already taken place. This revelation, so simple and so profound, slips past the grasp of those who have been taught that transformation must be earned through struggle and endless striving. The quantum field, the boundless ocean of pure potential, cradles every reality at once. Within this infinite expanse, the life you desire already breathes in fullness, awaiting only your recognition. You are not called to create it, but to align with its eternal presence. In this knowing, the weight of effort falls away, and the path of force is replaced by the way of effortless allowing. Though your conditioned mind clings to the old creed of labor and reward, the quantum truth whispers otherwise. Reality itself bends to the gaze of your awareness. Just as a particle hovers between many states until it's seen, so too does your desired life dwell in superposition, awaiting the moment you choose to observe it into form. The shift does not arrive through toil, but through surrender. When you release the need to push and prove, you step into the state of divine receptivity. Then, transformation blooms of its own accord, like a rose unfurling in the perfect rhythm of eternity. Your task is not to force the blossom, but to behold its presence in the everlasting now. In this recognition, you merge with the field, where all possibilities converge, and discover that what you have sought has been reaching for you all along. The old ways of striving give way to the timeless way of being. Here, in this sacred recognition, you awaken to the truth. The shift is ready, and it has always been so. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. Part 1. The Recognition. Chapter 1. When everything changes in an instant. In a quiet suburban neighborhood, Dorothy spent years diligently practicing manifestation techniques. She created vision boards, recited affirmations, and visualized her desires with unwavering dedication. Yet, her dreams remained stubbornly out of reach. Until one transformative morning. As she sat in her garden watching the interplay of light and shadow, something within her shifted. She ceased striving and simply observed. In that moment of pure awareness, Dorothy realized that everything she desired already existed, like quantum particles waiting to be noticed into form. The job promotion she yearned for, the loving relationship she dreamed of, the vibrant health she sought, all existed simultaneously with her current experience. Just as light can be both wave and particle until observed, her desired reality coexisted with her present circumstances until she chose which to perceive. The instant Dorothy released her grip on making things happen, her entire life transformed. Opportunities emerged effortlessly, relationships blossomed naturally, and abundance flowed freely. She had not created anything anew. She had simply noticed what was already there. Across the street lived Martha, who struggled with similar desires. She maintained rigid timelines for her manifestations, growing increasingly frustrated when they failed to materialize on schedule. One evening, while sharing tea with Dorothy, Martha learned the art of releasing attachment to when and how her desires would appear. The universe operates in quantum time, not linear time, Dorothy explained. When I stopped forcing my timeline, everything shifted instantly. Martha closed her eyes and allowed herself to feel the reality where her artistic career was already thriving. She released her mental schedule of when it should happen and simply recognized its existence in the quantum flow. Within days, a gallery owner discovered her work, launching the career she had long envisioned. These experiences reveal a fundamental truth. Quantum shifting occurs through recognition rather than creation, like a radio tuning to an existing frequency rather than generating the music itself. You align with realities that already exist in potential. Ancient practice of quantum recognition. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes and breathe deeply, allowing your awareness to settle into the present moment. Now, feel into the reality where your desire is already fulfilled. Experience it as vividly as if it exists right now, because it does, in the quantum field of all possibilities. Notice the sensations in your body as you align with this reality. Let these feelings become more real than your current circumstances. Don't try to make anything happen. Simply observe this reality into being. Remain in this state of recognition for as long as feels natural, knowing that quantum shifts occur in the space of allowing rather than forcing. This practice aligns your consciousness with the quantum field, where all possibilities exist simultaneously. Through regular recognition of your desired reality, you collapse the wave function of potential into tangible experience. Chapter 2. The Illusion of Becoming. In the heart of an ancient city, Harold walked the winding streets each morning, passing merchants and travelers who seemed so certain of their place in the world. For years, he had devoted himself to personal growth, attending workshops, reading spiritual texts, and following teachers who promised transformation. Yet something eluded him, like water slipping through his fingers. One dawn, as he watched the sun paint the sky in shades of gold, an insight emerged from the depths of his being. Time itself was but a story, a construct that kept him bound to the illusion of becoming. In that moment, Harold understood that all his efforts to transform himself had only reinforced the belief that he was somehow incomplete. The universe whispers this truth. You're not moving toward completion, you're completion itself, momentarily dreaming of incompletion. Just as a wave is never separate from the ocean, you have never been separate from your divine nature. The appearance of transformation through time is the grandest illusion, keeping you searching for what you already are. Harold witnessed this truth unfold in his own experience. As he released the need for development, his natural gifts emerged effortlessly. His writing, once forced and academic, flowed with graceful authenticity. His relationships, previously strained by his constant self-improvement projects, softened into genuine connection. He had not become anything new. He had simply allowed his true nature to express itself. When Harold ceased trying to become a better version of himself, life responded with synchronicities that seemed magical. Opportunities appeared that perfectly matched his natural abilities. People were drawn to the peace that radiated from his presence. He discovered that the universe had always known his true identity, waiting patiently for him to remember. The linear path of becoming is a mirage in the desert of time. In the eternal now, you are already whole. Your journey is not one of addition, but of subtraction, removing the layers of belief that obscure your inherent perfection. Like clouds parting to reveal the ever-present sun, your true nature shines forth when you cease trying to become what you already are. Ancient practice of remembrance. Throughout your day, pause in moments of stillness and ask yourself, what if I am already everything I seek to become? Let this question rest in your awareness without searching for answers. Notice how your energy shifts as you release the need to improve or transform yourself. Feel the spaciousness that opens when you allow yourself to be complete in this moment. This simple inquiry has the power to dissolve the illusion of becoming, revealing the truth of your eternal nature. Chapter 3. Beyond the need to deserve. In the depths of infinite possibility, a truth waits patiently for your recognition. Like a key that has always rested in your palm, it requires no quest, no proving, no becoming. This wisdom unfolds through the story of Evelyn, a soul who wandered the corridors of self-improvement for decades, and each morning Evelyn would stand before her bathroom mirror reciting affirmations of worthiness. She maintained gratitude journals, volunteered at local charities, and cultivated what she believed were the qualities of a good person. Yet abundance remained elusive, dancing just beyond her reach. The quantum field knows nothing of merit or deservingness. It responds purely to consciousness, to the frequency of being. Just as electrons don't earn their position in atomic orbits, they simply exist in accordance with universal laws. Your desires manifest not through worthiness, but through allowance. Evelyn's breakthrough came not through adding another spiritual practice, but through releasing the very notion that she needed to prove herself worthy. Standing in line at a local cafe, she overheard a child ask their mother, "Do flowers deserve to bloom?" The simplicity of this question cracked open her understanding. Flowers don't prove their right to blossom. They simply allow the process that is natural to them. In that moment, the weight of decades lifted from her shoulders. She saw how the universe operates not on a system of merit, but on pure potential expressing itself through the law of allowance. Within days, opportunities she had long struggled to create began flowing effortlessly into her experience. A promotion appeared without an application. Relationships deepened without effort. Resources arrived without struggle. The quantum field reveals this truth. Particles exist in superposition, containing all possibilities simultaneously. They don't earn their way into physical manifestation. They simply respond to the consciousness observing them. Your reality operates on the same principle. The abundance you seek doesn't require proof of worthiness. It requires only your willingness to allow what already exists in potential. This ancient practice will align you with this truth. Stand before a mirror in a quiet space. Meet your own gaze with gentleness. Speak these words. I allow myself to receive. Notice any resistance that arises. Don't fight it. Simply continue speaking these words until they shift from affirmation to recognition, until you feel them resonate as truth in every cell of your being. This is not about convincing yourself of anything. It is about allowing yourself to remember what has always been true. Chapter 4. The Power of Assumption. In the realm of infinite possibilities, a merchant named Chester discovered a truth that would forever alter his understanding of reality. Each morning he would visit the marketplace, carefully counting his meager earnings and hoping that tomorrow would bring greater prosperity. His thoughts constantly drifted to a future of abundance, yet this very act of hoping kept his desires at arm's length. As the sun rose one morning, Chester noticed something peculiar. The wealthy traders he observed didn't hope for success. They assumed it as naturally as breathing. Their certainty wasn't built on positive thinking or affirmations. It stemmed from a deeper knowing, an unshakable assumption that prosperity was their natural state. The quantum field responds not to wishes or beliefs, but to assumptions. When you assume something to be true, you're not creating a new reality. You're aligning with what already exists in the infinite field of possibility. Your assumptions are direct commands to the universe, shaping the very fabric of your experience. As Chester began living from this understanding, he noticed how his entire world shifted. He no longer hoped for customers. He assumed their presence. He stopped wishing for profitable trades. He knew them to be inevitable. And this wasn't positive thinking or wishful dreaming. It was a fundamental shift in his frequency of being. The marketplace responded immediately. Regular customers appeared as if they had always been there. Profitable opportunities emerged naturally, not because Chester had manifested them, but because he had finally aligned with what was already true in the quantum field. This revelation shows that assumption transcends the realm of thought. It's not about convincing yourself of something or repeating affirmations until you believe them. Assumption is the natural state of knowing. Like your certainty that the sun will rise tomorrow, you don't hope for dawn, you know it will come. The ancient practice of assumption: find a quiet moment and settle into a comfortable position. Close your eyes and bring to mind your desired reality. Rather than hoping for it or trying to believe in it, simply assume it as the most natural thing in the world. Feel how normal and obvious it is, like the certainty you have that your heart is beating right now. Throughout your day, whenever you notice yourself hoping or wishing, gently shift into assumption. Let your desired reality feel as natural as breathing, as obvious as gravity. You're not creating something new. You're simply recognizing what has always been true in the quantum field of infinite possibility. Chapter 5: When Resistance Becomes Assistance. In the ancient scrolls of wisdom, a story emerges of Mildred, a potter who struggled against the unyielding clay beneath her hands. Each day she fought with the material, trying to force it into shapes it seemed unwilling to take. The harder she pushed, the more the clay resisted, until her creations emerged misshapen and weak. The universe operates through a sacred principle: what you resist persists, yet within that persistence lies the key to transformation. Your resistance is not an obstacle, but a misunderstood ally, carrying within it the exact energy needed for breakthrough. Like Mildred at her potter's wheel, you may find yourself pushing against circumstances, relationships, or inner states that seem to push back with equal force. Yet this opposing energy is not your enemy. It's a pure creative force awaiting redirection. In the quantum field, energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be transformed. When Mildred ceased fighting the clay's nature and instead followed its natural inclinations, she discovered that the very properties she had resisted, its density, its stubborn character, were precisely what allowed it to hold beautiful forms. The resistance itself contained the solution. This truth extends beyond the potter's wheel into every aspect of life. What you push against pushes back not to stop you, but to show you a new way forward. The quantum field responds to the energy you emit, regardless of whether you label it as resistance or acceptance. It is all a creative force. As Mildred worked with rather than against the clay's nature, her pottery transformed. Similarly, when you embrace what you've been fighting, you'll find that the very quality you rejected holds the seed of your next evolution. The ancient practice of dancing with resistance. Sit quietly and bring to mind something you're currently resisting. It might be a situation, a person, or an aspect of yourself. Rather than trying to change or overcome this resistance, welcome it as a teacher. Ask silently, what gift do you bring? How do you serve my expansion? What power lies within you that I haven't yet recognized? Allow the answers to arise naturally, knowing that within every form of resistance lies the exact energy signature required for your quantum shift. Stay with this practice until you feel the resistance transforming into pure, creative potential. This is not a battle to be won, but a dance to be learned, a sacred choreography where resistance becomes the very energy that propels you forward. Chapter 6, The Art of Gentle Allowing. In a time beyond memory, a merchant named Franklin stood at the helm of his trading empire, gripping the reins of control with iron determination. Each morning, he would rise before dawn, methodically plotting strategies and forcing his will upon the world through sheer force. Yet despite his relentless efforts, prosperity remained elusive, slipping through his fingers like water through clenched fists. What you perceive as strength, the masculine drive to control and force outcomes, often becomes the very barrier to your desires. The quantum field responds not to force, but to frequency. When you push against the universe, you create resistance in the very fabric of possibility. Picture the delicate patterns of sand on a vibrating plate. Harsh movements destroy the intricate designs, while gentle resonance allows beautiful patterns to emerge naturally. So too does the quantum field respond to the subtle art of allowing rather than the brute force of demanding. Franklin's transformation began the day he observed his daughter playing in their garden. While he had spent years fighting to cultivate rare flowers through rigid schedules and harsh pruning, she simply sat with them, speaking softly, offering water when needed. Her flowers bloomed abundantly while he struggled to survive. In that moment, he recognized a profound truth. The feminine principle of receiving holds more power than all his masculine forcing. This is not weakness, but rather the highest form of strength, the ability to stand in conscious receptivity, allowing the universe to flow through you rather than attempting to bend it to your will. As Franklin embraced this wisdom, his entire approach to business transformed. Instead of forcing negotiations, he learned to listen deeply. Rather than demanding opportunities, he remained open to receiving them. His empire flourished not through conquest, but through collaboration with the natural flow of abundance. The quantum field operates through invitation, not demand. When you shift from forcing to allowing, you align with the natural order of manifestation. This is the paradox that confounds the logical mind. The less you force, the more you receive. To embrace this ancient practice of allowing, find a quiet space each morning. Sit with your palms facing upward, symbolizing your willingness to receive. Feel the subtle energies already moving through your open hands. Breathe deeply and affirm, I open myself to receive all that the universe offers. I allow abundance to flow freely through my life. Let your hands become sensitive instruments of reception, attuned to the gentle currents of universal energy. Practice this state of consciousness throughout your day, remembering that the universe's gifts arrive not through force, but through the grace of open reception. Chapter 7, Collapsing Time Through Presence. In the heart of an ancient marketplace, a weaver named Beatrice sat at her loom, fingers dancing through threads of time. Each day she wove tapestries depicting scenes of what had been and what might be, until one morning she noticed something extraordinary. When her mind grew still, the threads began weaving themselves into patterns more beautiful than any she had consciously designed. The universe operates not in linear progression but in eternal presence. You live not in time, but in consciousness, where past and future exist as thought constructs, while the eternal now contains all possibility. When you release your grip on what was and what might be, you enter a state of pure potential where quantum mechanics reveals its deepest truth. Time is not a river flowing in one direction, but an ocean of infinite depth and breadth. In this ocean of now, Beatrice discovered that her loom responded not to her planning, but to her presence. The more fully she inhabited each moment, the more her tapestries reflected not just earthly scenes, but celestial possibilities. Her customers began speaking of strange occurrences, how gazing upon her works transported them into realities they had only dreamed of experiencing. What you perceive as linear time serves merely as a construct of the mind, a way to organize experience into comprehensible segments. Yet in the quantum field, all possibilities exist simultaneously, waiting only for your conscious recognition to collapse into experience. Your desired reality exists not in some distant future, but in the eternal present, accessible through the gateway of presence. As Beatrice embraced this truth, she noticed that time itself seemed to bend around her awareness. When fully present, minutes expanded into eternities. Yet in these expanded moments, manifestation occurred instantaneously. She no longer wove tapestries of what might be, she simply allowed what already was to express itself through her presence. The ancient practice of timeless being. Find a quiet space where you will remain undisturbed. Settle into a comfortable position and close your eyes. Begin by noticing the eternal nature of this moment, how it contains within it all moments that have ever been or will be. Feel how your breath connects you to the timeless now. As you rest in presence, observe how time seems to expand while simultaneously dissolving. Notice how this expanded present moment contains everything you desire, not as future possibility, but as current reality. Remain here for as long as feels natural, allowing yourself to experience how presence itself collapses the illusion of separation between where you are and where you wish to be. Practice this timeless being throughout your day, especially when you find yourself rushing toward future outcomes or dwelling in past experiences. Let presence be your portal to instant manifestation. Chapter 8, The Observer Effect in Daily Life. Through the ages, the wisest among us have whispered of a sacred truth. The act of observation shapes the very fabric of existence. In a bustling village, Theodore, a potter, crafted vessels from raw clay, each piece emerging under his watchful gaze. Yet one morning, as sunlight streamed through his workshop window, he noticed something extraordinary. The clay seemed to respond differently when he altered the quality of his attention. Your observation of reality is far from passive. Each moment of awareness carries the power to shape the quantum field of infinite possibility into tangible form, just as light behaves as both wave and particle. Depending on how it is observed, your reality transforms based on the consciousness you bring to each moment. Theodore began to understand this ancient principle through his daily work. When he approached his clay with frustration, the vessels emerged misshapen and weak, but when he maintained a state of calm, focused observation, the clay seemed to flow effortlessly into perfect forms. This was not mere coincidence. It was the universal law of observation at work. The quantum field responds not to what you think about reality, but to how you observe it. Your attention is like a beam of light, illuminating specific possibilities from the infinite field of potential. What you observe with expectation tends to expand, while what you observe with judgment tends to persist. As Theodore explored this truth, he discovered that his entire life responded to the quality of his observation. When he watched his relationships through eyes of appreciation, they flourished. When he observed his business with confidence, opportunities multiplied. The power lay not in changing circumstances, but in transforming his way of seeing. This wisdom echoes through the corridors of time. You are not merely witnessing reality, you are participating in its continuous creation through your conscious observation. Each moment offers a fresh opportunity to observe anew, to see beyond surface appearances into the realm of pure potential. An ancient practice for modern times, find moments throughout your day to pause and notice how you are observing your reality. Watch your thoughts, feelings, and circumstances with the same detached curiosity as watching clouds pass across the sky. Notice how your quality of attention, whether anxious, peaceful, judgmental, or accepting, affects what unfolds before you. As you practice this awareness, you'll begin to experience firsthand how your observation shapes the very fabric of your reality. Chapter 9. Beyond Positive and Negative. In a quiet garden, Violet meticulously tended to her plants, constantly affirming their growth and beauty. Despite years of positive thinking and endless affirmations, her garden remained sparse and uneven. One morning, as she sat exhausted from the effort of maintaining optimistic thoughts, an ancient understanding dawned within her consciousness. The quantum field exists beyond the realm of opposites. Like the boundless sky that embraces both storm and sunshine without preference, true power lies not in choosing one polarity over another, but in transcending the illusion of separation entirely. Your thoughts, whether positive or negative, exist within the same field of duality, each requiring its opposite to exist. When you struggle to maintain positive thoughts, you unconsciously energize their negative counterparts. This is why Violet's garden responded not to her affirmations, but to her state of being. The plants sensed her underlying strain, her subtle resistance to what was, despite her surface positivity. The quantum field responds not to the content of your thoughts, but to your frequency, your state of being. When Violet released her grip on positive thinking, she discovered a deeper truth. Pure consciousness exists prior to all mental positions. From this space of neutral awareness, manifestation occurs naturally, without effort or force. As she learned to rest in simple presence, Violet noticed her garden beginning to flourish, not because she thought right thoughts, but because she accessed a state of being beyond thought itself. From this neutral space, life expressed itself freely, unbound by her mental classifications of good or bad. This mirrors an ageless truth. Creation flows not from the mind's polarity, but from the heart of pure being. When you release the need to label experiences as positive or negative, you tap into the quantum field's unlimited potential. Like water taking the shape of any container without preference, your consciousness becomes free to express itself without the limitations of dualistic thinking. a practice of pure being. Set aside a few moments each day to simply observe your thoughts and emotions without trying to change them. Notice how both positive and negative thoughts arise and dissolve in the vast space of your awareness. Allow yourself to rest in the neutral presence that witnesses all experiences without judgment. This simple practice gradually dissolves the habit of mental positioning, allowing you to access the pure consciousness from which all manifestation naturally flows. Chapter 10. The Readiness That Always Is. In the heart of a bustling marketplace, Arthur stood before his empty merchant stall, clutching a worn notebook filled with plans and preparations. For 7 years he had studied every technique, attended countless seminars, and gathered all the resources he believed necessary for success. Yet still, he waited for the perfect moment to begin. Each morning Arthur would review his checklist: knowledge acquired, skills mastered, connections made. Just a few more preparations, he would whisper to himself, then I'll be ready. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, watched with patient amusement as Arthur continued his endless pursuit of readiness. The quantum field operates not through preparation, but through recognition. You need not become ready for what already exists within you. The shift you seek has been present since the beginning, waiting not for your worthiness, but for your awareness. One ordinary afternoon, as Arthur added yet another item to his preparation list, a sudden stillness washed over him. In that moment of pure presence, he saw with pristine clarity that his very desire for the shift was the shift itself attempting to recognize its own existence through him. Every workshop attended, every book studied, every plan made, these were not steps toward readiness, but expressions of the completion that had always existed within him. The universe does not require your preparation. It requires only your recognition. Like a wave realizing it has always been the ocean, transformation occurs not through becoming, but through remembering. Your consciousness, the very awareness reading these words, is already complete, already whole, already everything it seeks to become. As this truth settled into Arthur's being, the marketplace around him seemed to shimmer with new possibilities. He realized that each moment spent preparing had been a delay of what was already present. His endless quest for readiness had been the very obstacle to recognizing the perpetual state of readiness that is our natural inheritance. Sacred practice. Close your eyes and settle into this moment. Without trying to change anything, notice the readiness that exists right now. Feel how it pulses beneath every breath, every heartbeat. This readiness is not something you create or achieve. It is your natural state of being. Let your awareness rest in this recognition, feeling how your entire energy field shifts as you acknowledge what has always been true. The shift is not waiting for you to be ready. It is readiness itself, eternally present, eternally available, eternally now. Part 2, the integration. Chapter 11, Living in Multiple Realities. In the quiet village of Riverstone, Pearl tended her modest garden while simultaneously walking through the halls of a prestigious art gallery where her paintings adorned the walls. Not in imagination or daydream, but in the quantum field, where all possibilities exist as living realities. Through windows of perception that transcend ordinary sight, Pearl discovered an extraordinary truth. She need not abandon her present circumstance to step fully into her desired reality. Like light existing as both wave and particle, She learned to hold multiple states of being in perfect harmony. The universe operates through superposition, the ability to maintain multiple states simultaneously until observation determines which manifests into physical form. This principle reveals that your desired reality already exists, vibrating at a frequency alongside your current experience. The secret lies not in leaving one to reach the other, but in expanding your consciousness to encompass both. As Pearl moved through her days, she ceased struggling against her current circumstances or straining toward a distant future. Instead, she allowed both realities to coexist within her awareness. While serving customers at her small cafe, she also felt the energy of speaking to crowds about consciousness and transformation. Rather than creating conflict, this dual awareness created a bridge between realities. The quantum field responds not to force but to the natural collapse of wave functions through conscious observation. When you allow yourself to exist simultaneously in multiple states, you transcend the illusion of linear progression. Your desired reality ceases being a far-off destination and becomes an alternate dimension you already inhabit. Pearl's mastery deepened as she learned to shift her attention smoothly between realities without attachment or resistance. She discovered that acknowledging both states actually accelerated the manifestation of her preferred timeline, as though her consciousness was weaving both dimensions together into a new tapestry of experience. Sacred practice, the quantum dance of realities. Find a quiet space where you can remain undisturbed. Close your eyes and allow your awareness to settle fully into your present circumstances, the sensations, emotions, and experiences that make up your current reality. Breathe into this awareness without judgment or desire to change it. Now, while maintaining that connection to your present experience, gently open your consciousness to include your desired reality. Feel it as vividly as your current circumstances. The sensations, emotions, and experiences that characterize this alternate timeline. Allow both realities to exist simultaneously in your awareness, neither dominating the other. Practice this quantum dance of realities throughout your day. Notice how your consciousness naturally expands to hold both states, and observe how this dual awareness begins to transform your experience of manifestation itself. Chapter 12, The Frequency of Inevitability. An ancient tale speaks of Edmund, a merchant who noticed something peculiar about the way certain events unfolded in his life. Some outcomes carried a distinct quality, a sense of absolute certainty that transcended mere hope or belief. These events possessed an unmistakable signature of inevitability. Through quiet observation, Edmund realized this feeling of inevitability wasn't random. When he examined the outcomes that manifested with certainty, he discovered they shared a common thread. His consciousness had merged completely with their frequency. There was no separation between his being and the desired outcome, no gap of doubt, no resistance, no questioning. In these instances, manifestation occurred with the same natural certainty as water flowing downhill. The universe operates through resonance. When consciousness aligns perfectly with a particular possibility, that alignment creates a harmonic resonance that draws the physical manifestation into form. This is not predetermined destiny, but rather the natural result of complete energetic coherence. As Edmund deepened his understanding, he noticed how this frequency of inevitability felt in his body, a calm knowing, an unshakable certainty that required no external validation. He began to recognize that this state wasn't about forcing belief or maintaining positive thoughts. Instead, it emerged naturally when his entire being vibrated in harmony with the essence of what he desired. The power of this revelation transformed Edmund's approach to manifestation. Rather than trying to make things happen, he learned to cultivate the frequency of inevitability around his desires. He discovered that when he matched the energetic signature of what he wanted with the same completeness he felt about the sun rising each morning, resistance naturally dissolved. This truth reveals why certain manifestations seem to require no effort, while others feel like pushing against the tide. The difference lies not in the desire itself, but in the degree of alignment between your consciousness and its frequency. When alignment is complete, manifestation becomes as natural as breathing. Sacred practice, the frequency of inevitability. Take a moment to recall something in your life that feels absolutely certain. Perhaps the changing of seasons, the cycle of day and night, or a deeply held truth about yourself. Notice the particular quality of this certainty in your body. There's no strain, no effort to believe, just a quiet, unshakable knowing. Now bring to mind something you desire to manifest. Rather than trying to make it happen, simply allow your consciousness to merge with its frequency until it carries the same signature of inevitability you just identified. Practice holding this resonance throughout your day, letting the certainty of your desire become as natural as gravity itself. Chapter 13. Quantum Entanglement of Hearts. In a quiet garden, Ruby tended to her roses as the morning sun cast gentle shadows. As she touched each flower, an awareness dawned within her. Every petal, every leaf existed in perfect connection with all others. Just as the flowers danced in harmony with the breeze, she realized human consciousness moved in similar patterns of interconnection. The universe operates not as separate parts, but as one unified field of consciousness. What appears as individual experience is merely a focal point in a vast ocean of awareness. Your thoughts, feelings, and state of being ripple through this field, affecting all other points of consciousness, whether you recognize this influence or not. Within this field, instantaneous transformation becomes possible through the principle of quantum entanglement. When two particles become entangled, they remain connected regardless of distance. What affects one immediately influences the other. So too does your consciousness remain entangled with all other beings, creating possibilities for immediate shifts in collective reality. Ruby discovered this truth as she noticed how her inner shifts created immediate changes in her relationships. Without speaking a word or taking any action, her altered state of being would inspire spontaneous transformations in others. A simple shift in her perception would often catalyst breakthrough moments for those around her. This revelation transcends the illusion of personal transformation. Every time you align with a higher possibility, you create a template in the collective field that others can access. Your individual evolution becomes a gift to all beings, lifting the frequency of human consciousness as naturally as the sun warms the earth. Ruby's journey deepened as she learned to work consciously with this field of infinite connection. She discovered that by holding space for her desired reality, she created an energetic pathway that others could follow. Her personal breakthroughs became doorways through which collective consciousness could evolve. Ancient practice of collective resonance. Find a peaceful space and close your eyes. Feel yourself as a point of light within the vast field of consciousness. Allow your awareness to expand until you sense your connection with all beings. Hold your desired reality in your heart, feeling its frequency ripple outward like waves on a pond. Rather than trying to change or fix others, Simply radiate the energy of your aligned state, knowing it naturally contributes to the elevation of all consciousness. Remain in this state of connected resonance for several minutes, trusting that your shift creates possibilities for all beings who are ready to receive this frequency. Before we get into the next chapter, you can download a free ebook version of this audiobook using the link in the pinned comment below this video. Chapter 14, The Paradox of Effortless Action. In the bustling marketplace, Walter stood before his merchant stall, muscles tense with familiar strain. Each morning brought the same ritual of forceful effort, arranging wares with mechanical precision, calling out to passers-by with rehearsed enthusiasm, pushing himself to meet self-imposed quotas. Yet something felt misaligned, as though he were swimming against an invisible current. The law of effortless action reveals itself not through theory, but through direct experience. When your actions arise from alignment with the quantum field, they carry the same natural grace as a leaf floating downstream. No effort, no strain, simply the perfect expression of what wants to emerge through you. Walter's revelation came on a morning when illness kept him from his usual forceful routine. Unable to maintain his rigid patterns, he found himself simply following subtle impulses of inspiration. To his amazement, customers seemed drawn to his quiet presence. Sales flowed with unprecedented ease. What he had strived so hard to achieve came naturally when he ceased trying to make it happen. This mirrors the quantum nature of reality, where particles move along paths of least resistance. The universe does not strain or force. It allows natural unfoldment through the path of highest resonance. Your actions, when arising from alignment, carry this same effortless quality. As Walter learned to distinguish between aligned and effortful action, he noticed clear signals. Aligned action felt light, energizing, almost playful, like being carried by an invisible wind. Ego-driven action felt heavy, draining, filled with mental chatter about outcomes. The results spoke for themselves. Aligned action, though gentler, created ripples of positive change that exceeded his most strenuous past efforts. This truth extends beyond commerce into every arena of life. The quantum field responds not to the force of your actions, but to their resonance with natural law. When action emerges from your aligned state of being, it carries the full power of the universe behind it. One small aligned action can accomplish more than years of effortful striving. Ancient practice of aligned action. Before taking any action, pause and feel into your body's wisdom. Notice whether the proposed action feels light or heavy, energizing or draining. If heaviness or resistance appears, simply wait. When alignment is present, right action will arise naturally, feeling more like inspiration than effort. Follow only the impulses that feel like a yes in your entire being. Trust that what emerges from this space of alignment will carry more power than any forced action could achieve. Chapter 15, Dissolving the Seeker Identity. A merchant sat at her stall in a bustling marketplace, hands restlessly arranging her collection of spiritual texts and sacred objects. Day after day, Florence welcomed truth-seekers who came searching for enlightenment, each one reminding her of her own endless quest. She prided herself on being a dedicated seeker, always studying, always striving, always reaching for the next revelation. Within you lives this same pattern, the constant searching that has become your identity. The quantum field reveals a startling truth. Seeking itself maintains the illusion of separation from what you seek. Like a fish swimming frantically through the ocean in search of water, your very effort to find creates the appearance of distance from what already is. The seeker's identity becomes a comfortable prison, offering the safety of perpetual motion without the vulnerability of arrival. Yet in the quantum realm, there is no distance between seeker and sought. They are one consciousness, temporarily pretending to be separate for the joy of remembrance. When Florence finally paused her relentless seeking, something extraordinary occurred. In that space of stillness, she recognized that her searching had been a sophisticated form of resistance, a way to avoid the stunning simplicity of what already was. The spiritual ego, which had gained such satisfaction from the noble quest, began to dissolve in the light of this recognition. You too may notice how your identity as a seeker has become a cherished self-image, one that paradoxically keeps you from recognizing your own completeness. The quantum field responds not to seeking, but to being. When you release the need to search, you discover that what you sought was never separate from your own awareness. This truth becomes clear through direct experience rather than intellectual understanding. Set aside time each day to simply be the one who has already found what they seek. Feel into the energy of completion, of having arrived. Notice how this shift in identity immediately dissolves the frequency of seeking and allows recognition of what has always been present. Sit quietly and allow yourself to be the one who is already enlightened, already abundant, already whole. Rather than affirming these qualities as future possibilities, embody them as present truths. Feel how your energy field transforms when you release the identity of seeker and embrace the identity of finder. In this practice, you'll discover that what you seek has been seeking you, the eternal dancing with itself, through the illusion of separation, all for the joy of coming home to what never left. Chapter 16. The Intelligence of Uncertainty. A merchant wandered through an ancient bazaar, his mind heavy with calculations and plans. Albert clutched his ledger close, attempting to control every detail of his trading venture. Each unknown variable felt like a threat to his success, until a wise mystic offered him a perspective that would transform his understanding forever. The quantum field operates through principles that challenge our conventional need for certainty. Just as light exists, as both wave and particle until measured, your desired manifestations exist in a state of infinite possibility until observed. The very uncertainty you resist is the fertile void from which all creation springs. At the smallest scales of existence, nothing is fixed or predetermined. This fundamental uncertainty generates the stable reality we experience at larger scales. Your attempts to control the how of manifestation actually restrict the infinite ways the universe could bring your desires into form. Albert discovered this truth when his carefully laid plans fell apart, yet his goods found their way to an even better market through a series of coincidences he could never have orchestrated. The universe's intelligence far exceeded his limited strategies. As he released his grip on certainty, synchronicities multiplied and opportunities emerged from unexpected directions. The quantum field responds not to your plans but to your state of being. When you insist on knowing the path, you close off countless alternate routes that might serve you better. Uncertainty is not your enemy but your ally, creating space for possibilities beyond your current imagination. Albert's transformation deepened as he learned to rest in the paradox of certainty about the what, while remaining open about the how. He discovered that his role was not to micromanage manifestation, but to hold the frequency of his desire while allowing the universe to arrange the details. This mirrors the quantum principle of superposition, where multiple states exist simultaneously until observation collapses them into one reality. Your desired outcome exists alongside infinite possible paths to its manifestation. Trying to force one particular path often blocks the universe's more elegant solutions. To practice this principle, find a quiet space and bring to mind something you desire to manifest. Feel absolute certainty about its eventual manifestation, while completely releasing any attachment to how it will arrive. Notice the sensation of simultaneously knowing and not knowing. Allow yourself to rest in this paradox, experiencing how it feels to trust completely while remaining open to infinite possibilities. Let your body relax into this state of certain uncertainty. Notice any resistance to not knowing and gently release it. Feel how this openness creates space for miracles beyond your current understanding. Practice maintaining unwavering faith in your desired outcome while surrendering all need to control its journey into form. Chapter 17. Becoming the Answer. In the small hours before dawn, a gentle revelation unfolds within you, much as it did for Hazel, who stood before her mirror one ordinary morning. She had spent years seeking answers outside herself, consulting oracles and sages until that pivotal moment when everything shifted. You see, the universe operates through a profound simplicity that often eludes those who seek complexity. When you ask, "How will this happen?" you position yourself as separate from the answer. Yet within the quantum field, separation is merely an illusion. You are both the question and its resolution. As Hazel discovered, transformation occurs not through gathering more knowledge, but through recognizing what already exists within. Each morning, she would look in the mirror and ask, not how will I achieve success, but rather, who am I becoming? This subtle shift altered everything. The quantum field responds not to your questions, but to your state of being. When you embody the frequency of what you desire, you collapse all probability waves into that singular experience. You need not know the path. You need only become the destination. Hazel's story illuminates this truth. She ceased trying to manipulate external circumstances and instead allowed herself to embody the energy of her desires. She didn't need to become successful. She needed to recognize that success was her natural state. The external world simply followed this internal recognition. This wisdom echoes through the ages. What you seek seeks you, but it seeks not your questioning mind. It seeks the version of you that already lives that reality. When you shift from asking how to embody what, the universe conspires to match your frequency. The practice is sit quietly and identify something you deeply desire. Rather than asking how it will manifest, ask yourself, who would I be if this were already my reality? Feel yourself dissolve into that state of being. Notice how your breath changes, how your posture shifts, how your energy aligns with this truth. Stay here until it feels more real than your current circumstances. Let this new frequency become your natural state of being. The external must follow the internal. It is universal law. This practice requires no effort, only recognition. You are not becoming something new. You are remembering what you have always been. In this remembrance lies the power to transform your entire reality. Chapter 18. The Field of Infinite Supply. In the heart of a bustling marketplace, George sat counting his coins, measuring his worth against what he lacked. Like many before him, he believed abundance was a distant shore, separated from him by vast oceans of effort and time. The wisdom of ages whispers through time. Abundance flows, not from external circumstances, but from the lens through which you perceive life. As droplets of morning dew reflect entire worlds, each moment contains infinite potential waiting to be recognized. Within the quantum field, energy exists in boundless supply. Think of how a single seed contains within it forests of possibility, how one kind word can multiply into thousands of smiles. The universe operates not through subtraction, but through endless multiplication. As George learned to shift his attention from what was missing to what was present, his world began to transform. Where once he saw empty spaces, he now noticed opportunities. Each coin in his hand became not a measure of limitation, but a symbol of the universe's infinite flow. The quantum field responds not to need, but to recognition. When you appreciate what exists, you align with the frequency of abundance, allowing more to flow naturally into your experience. It is like tuning an instrument to resonate with a specific note. The note was always there, waiting to be heard. In time, George noticed how his changed perception altered his reality. Opportunities appeared as if by magic, though they had always existed. Resources flowed more easily, though they had never truly been blocked. His shift in consciousness created a shift in his material world, proving that abundance was not something to chase but to recognize. Ancient masters taught this truth. Gratitude opens the floodgates of abundance, not because it earns you more, but because it aligns you with what already exists in infinite supply. Like adjusting the dial on a radio, you simply tune into the frequency that was always broadcasting. To access this wisdom yourself, pause throughout your day to notice signs of abundance that surround you. Begin with the air you breathe, infinite, free, always available. Notice the sunlight that streams without cost, the ideas that flow without limit, the love that multiplies when shared. Let your awareness rest on these evidence of unlimited supply. As you practice this recognition, watch how your external world begins to mirror your internal shift. Feel how appreciation creates expansion, how acknowledgement invites more to appreciate. This is not manifesting abundance. It is recognizing what was always there. Chapter 19, Time as Conscious Creation. In the quiet corners of time, Opal sat at her cluttered desk, watching minutes dissolve into a blur of unfinished tasks. Each glance at the clock brought mounting tension until a remarkable shift occurred in her awareness. Time, you see, flows not through the measured ticks of clocks, but through the quality of your attention. When you rush against its current, time becomes a harsh master. Yet when you surrender to the eternal now, time transforms into a gentle companion. The universe holds a sacred truth. Time expands or contracts according to your state of being. In moments of pure presence, a single breath can contain eternities. In states of resistance and worry, hours vanish without trace. Watch how a child at play loses all sense of time, completely absorbed in the moment. Notice how a worried mind can age years in mere minutes. This reveals that time is not a fixed dimension, but a reflection of consciousness. As Opal learned to breathe fully into each moment, the fabric of time began to stretch and yield. In completing her work, she discovered that full presence to one task created space for many. The more she resisted time's flow, the more it constricted. The more she embraced the present moment, the more time seemed to multiply. This mirrors the quantum nature of reality, where observation shapes experience. Time responds not to your demands, but to your quality of attention. When you try to grasp it, it slips away. When you rest in presence, it expands to meet your needs. Through this understanding, Opal discovered that time management was an illusion. What required management was not time itself, but her relationship with the eternal now. As her consciousness shifted from resistance to allowance, from rushing to flowing, time became her ally rather than her adversary. The ancient practice of time expansion: sit comfortably and choose one simple activity, perhaps drinking tea or walking in nature. As you engage in this activity, bring your full attention to each sensation, each movement, each breath. Notice how time seems to slow and expand when you become fully present. Feel how this presence creates a sense of abundance, where time flows not as a limited resource, but as an infinite well of experience. Practice this conscious expansion throughout your day, watching how presence naturally creates the time you need. Chapter 20. The Completion That Seeks Nothing. In the heart of an ancient garden, Raymond knelt beside his unfinished masterpiece, a sculpture that had consumed 5 years of his life. His hands trembled with familiar frustration as he attempted to perfect what felt eternally incomplete. The quantum field knows nothing of incompleteness. Within its infinite expanse, all possibilities exist in perfect wholeness. Your task is not to create wholeness, but to recognize it as your natural state. As Raymond lowered his tools, an understanding washed over him like morning light through leaves. He had spent years trying to bring forth something he believed was missing, when in truth, the masterpiece already existed in consciousness itself. The marble simply needed to release what wasn't the sculpture. The universe operates through the same principle. What you seek to manifest already exists in its complete form within consciousness. Your role is not to create it, but to allow consciousness to express itself through you. When you release the belief in lack, you discover that consciousness itself is the fulfillment you seek. Raymond's hands moved differently now, no longer striving to add, but gently removing what concealed the perfection within. As layers fell away, the sculpture emerged, not as he had planned, but as it had always been, an expression of consciousness itself. This reveals the deepest truth about manifestation. What you desire is not separate from what you are. When you rest in the completeness of consciousness, desires fulfill themselves not through effort, but through natural expression. Like water flowing downhill, manifestation becomes the simple movement of consciousness into form. The practice: find a quiet space and settle into stillness. Close your eyes and feel the alive presence of consciousness within you. Notice how this consciousness is already complete, lacking nothing. Rest in this completeness, allowing all desires to float in this field of fulfillment without grasping or reaching. Simply be the consciousness that already contains all possibilities. Notice how this state of being complete paradoxically allows your desires to manifest with ease, drawn forth not by need but by the natural expression of what already is. Part 3. The Embodiment. Chapter 21. Living as the Quantum Field. In a secluded mountain monastery, Gladys sat before an ancient stone wall, her meditation deepening with each breath. As consciousness expanded beyond her personal boundaries, she experienced a truth that would forever transform her understanding of reality. The quantum field does not exist separate from you. It expresses itself as you. When you breathe, It is the universe breathing. When you move, it is cosmic energy in motion. The distinction between observer and observed dissolves in the recognition of fundamental unity. For years, Gladys had attempted to harness quantum laws as if they were external forces. Now, as her awareness merged with the infinite field of possibility, she understood. She was those laws in operation. Her thoughts weren't creating reality, they were reality knowing itself through her unique expression. Walking through the monastery gardens, Gladys noticed how the flowers didn't try to bloom. They were the earth's natural flowering. Similarly, she realized her desires and manifestations weren't personal creations, but the universe expressing its infinite potential through her individual form. This recognition shifted everything. What had seemed like miracles became simple expressions of her true nature. She no longer needed to attract or create. She simply allowed the quantum field, her deeper self, to express freely through her human experience. As she watched the sun rise over distant peaks, Gladys saw how light doesn't effort to shine. It simply expresses its inherent nature. In the same way, when you recognize yourself as the creative force of the universe, manifestation becomes effortless expression rather than effortful creation. Sacred practice. Throughout your day, pause regularly and consciously shift your identity from the individual seeking to create to the creative force itself, expressing through your unique form. Feel yourself as the quantum field knowing itself through your experience. Notice how this shift in identity naturally transforms your relationship with manifestation, from doing to being, from seeking to expressing. Let each thought, each action, each breath be the universe expressing itself through you. Chapter 22, The Ordinary Magic of Now. In a small village among rolling hills, Ernest spent years searching for the perfect conditions to achieve quantum transformation. He traveled to sacred sites, attended mystical ceremonies, and devoted countless hours to complex meditation practices. Yet one morning, while performing the simple act of washing dishes, everything changed. As warm water flowed over his hands and steam rose from the sink, Ernest noticed something extraordinary in its ordinariness. The present moment expanded, revealing itself as an infinite field of possibility. Each bubble contained universes. Each movement of his hands through the water became a dance with the cosmos. When consciousness fully inhabits the ordinary, the extraordinary naturally reveals itself. The quantum field doesn't distinguish between special and mundane. It expresses with equal power through all moments. Your breathing right now contains the same creative force that births galaxies. Ernest discovered this truth while walking to his garden, feeling the earth beneath his feet. Each step became a communion with the ground of being itself. He realized that his search for special experiences had actually blocked his recognition of the magic inherent in simple existence. Preparing tea became a gateway to infinity. Folding laundry transformed into an expression of universal harmony. The quantum field didn't suddenly appear during these activities. It had always been there, waiting to be recognized, beneath the mind's endless search for something more significant. This is the paradox that transforms everything. The extraordinary hides in plain sight within the ordinary. When you cease seeking special moments, every moment reveals its inherent specialness. The power to shift reality exists not in complex techniques, but in bringing complete presence to what is. Ernest found that the deepest shifts occurred not when he tried to make something happen, but when he allowed himself to be fully present with whatever was happening. Making breakfast, tending his garden, watching clouds drift across the sky. These simple moments contain the full power of creation when met with undivided attention. Ancient practice of ordinary presence. Choose the most mundane activity in your daily routine, washing dishes, brushing teeth, or walking to your door. Bring your full attention to every sensation, every movement. Notice how the quantum field expresses through these simple actions. Allow yourself to recognize the extraordinary nature of ordinary consciousness at work in these moments. This practice dissolves the barrier between special and mundane, revealing that all moments contain the same infinite potential for transformation. Chapter 23, Beyond Personal Manifestation. In a time beyond memory, a woman named Edith lived among the towering redwoods. Each morning she would write elaborate lists of her desires, focusing intently on manifesting her personal dreams. Yet despite her dedicated practice, her manifestations felt small and constrained, like drops of water when she sensed an ocean of possibility nearby. One dawn, as she sat beneath the ancient trees, a profound silence descended. In that stillness, she heard not her own desires, but the whispers of something far greater. The universe itself seemed to speak through her consciousness, revealing its own evolutionary impulse. The quantum field operates through pure potential, unrestricted by individual wants or needs. When you align with universal consciousness, you become a clear channel through which infinite possibility expresses itself. Your personal desires naturally expand to embrace what consciousness itself wishes to create. As Edith surrendered her personal agenda, she noticed something remarkable. The universe began using her as an instrument for larger creations. Projects and opportunities arose that served not just her growth but the evolution of many. Her art transformed from personal expression into a channel for universal beauty. Her words became vessels for timeless wisdom rather than personal stories. What flows through you when you release the need to control the flow? What wants to emerge when you step aside and allow universal consciousness to express itself through your unique form? Edith discovered that her greatest fulfillment came not from manifesting personal desires, but from allowing herself to be manifested through. She became a living example of how consciousness creates when unobstructed by individual will. Her personal needs were met with effortless grace, while her impact expanded far beyond what her individual self could have imagined. This reveals a profound truth about the nature of manifestation. The quantum field responds most powerfully to desires that serve the whole rather than the part. When you align with what wants to emerge through universal consciousness, your personal fulfillment becomes a natural byproduct of serving something greater. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space and settle into deep stillness. Ask with sincere openness, what wants to manifest through me for the highest good of all? Listen not with your mind, but with your whole being. Notice what arises: images, feelings, knowings. Allow your personal desires to naturally align with this larger purpose, feeling how your individual energy field expands to embrace universal intention. Practice this daily, becoming increasingly sensitive to the difference between personal wanting and universal calling. Chapter 24, The Unified Field of Being. In a small village among rolling hills, Leonard walked the dusty streets, his heart heavy with the burden of difficult relationships. Each face he passed seemed to reflect back his own inner conflicts. The merchant he argued with yesterday, the neighbor whose music disturbed his peace, the family member who had hurt him deeply. One morning, as sunlight filtered through his window, something shifted in Leonard's awareness. Where he once saw separate beings, each carrying their own agenda and potential for conflict, he now perceived a unified field of consciousness expressing itself through countless forms. Like waves on an ocean, each person remained unique in expression while sharing the same essential nature. The quantum field shows us that at the subtlest level of reality, separation is an illusion. What appears as distinct and divided in form emerges from an undivided wholeness. This truth transcends metaphor. It is the fundamental nature of reality itself. As Leonard embraced this understanding, his entire experience of relationships transformed. The merchant who had seemed antagonistic now appeared as another expression of the same consciousness that animated Leonard himself. Their conflict dissolved not through effort or negotiation, but through the simple recognition that they were not truly separate. This recognition rippled through all his relationships. When someone approached him with anger, he no longer saw an enemy to defend against, but another aspect of universal consciousness, temporarily forgetting its true nature. This shift in perception created immediate changes in how others responded to him. Arguments dissolved before they began. Misunderstandings cleared naturally. Even long-standing family tensions began to heal. The quantum field responds instantly to recognition of unity, because unity is its natural state. When we release the illusion of separation, we allow the inherent harmony of unified consciousness to express itself through all our relationships. Sacred practice. Throughout your day, practice seeing the one self in all beings you encounter. Look past surface appearances, personalities, and behaviors to recognize the same consciousness that animates you expressing itself through different forms. Notice how this recognition naturally transforms your interactions and relationships without effort or technique. Let this practice dissolve the imagined boundaries between self and other, revealing the unity that has always been present. Each person, whether a loved one, a stranger, or someone who challenges you, becomes an opportunity to recognize this shared essence. Let eye contact, a passing smile, or even a difficult interaction remind you, here too is the same consciousness shining in another form. With practice, the imagined line between self and other grows thinner. You begin to sense that there has only ever been one vast consciousness playing as many. What once seemed separate is revealed as unity, wearing countless faces. Over time, this sacred recognition seeps into the smallest moments, holding the door open for someone, hearing a bird sing, or watching a child laugh. Life itself becomes a temple, each encounter an invitation to bow inwardly to the one self appearing everywhere. Chapter 25, Mastering the Art of Being. In the heart of a bustling marketplace, a potter named May sat at her wheel, hands trembling as she attempted to shape yet another perfect vessel. For years she had pursued mastery through endless repetition, believing that if she could only execute each movement flawlessly, she would finally achieve the excellence she sought. Yet something profound shifted within her consciousness one ordinary afternoon. As sunlight streamed through her workshop window, May noticed how her obsession with doing things perfectly had actually created a barrier between herself and the natural flow of creation. She closed her eyes, allowing her hands to rest in the cool clay, and for the first time, she simply existed with the material without trying to shape it. In that moment of pure presence, the ancient wisdom revealed itself. Mastery flows, not from perfected action, but from aligned being. When consciousness rests fully in itself, all action becomes an effortless expression of that inner stillness. The universe does not strain to create galaxies or struggle to bloom flowers. It simply expresses its nature through endless forms. As May opened her eyes, her hands began moving with a grace she had never known. The vessel that emerged possessed a beauty that transcended technical perfection. It carried the signature of consciousness expressing itself through form. She realized that all her years of seeking mastery through doing had actually distracted her from the mastery that already existed within her being. The clay taught her that true mastery arises when we cease trying to achieve and simply allow our inner nature to express itself. Just as water naturally flows downhill and fire naturally rises upward, human consciousness naturally creates when it aligns with its own essential nature. No effort required, only recognition and allowing. This wisdom extends far beyond pottery. Whether you seek mastery in relationships, career, creativity, or spiritual growth, the key lies not in perfecting your actions, but in deepening your presence. When being becomes the foundation, doing flows naturally from that stable center. Sacred practice throughout your day. Pause before taking action, rather than asking, "What should I do?" or "How can I do this perfectly?" Зрение. Первое соединение с вашим состоянием быть. Let your breath deepen and your awareness expand until you feel fully present. From this space of presence, notice what actions naturally want to emerge. Trust these impulses that arise from being rather than forcing actions based on should or must. When you catch yourself striving for perfection, gently return to being. Notice how this shift from doing to being transforms not only your actions, but the very quality of your experience. Chapter 26, The Dance of Consciousness. In a valley where ancient trees whispered secrets of the universe, a woodcarver named Howard stood in his workshop, wrestling with a stubborn piece of oak. Despite his skill, every cut felt forced, every movement a battle against the wood's natural grain. His frustration mounted until he set down his tools and stepped back, letting out a deep sigh. In that moment of surrender, something extraordinary happened. As he observed the wood more closely, he noticed how the grain formed natural patterns, waves and swirls that seemed to dance across the surface. The wood wasn't fighting him. He had been fighting it. The quantum field reveals a profound truth. Life itself is consciousness engaged in an eternal dance. Just as particles move in perfect harmony with the underlying field, your experience flows most naturally when you align with the rhythm of universal consciousness. This is not mere metaphor. It is the fundamental nature of reality itself. Howard began approaching his work differently. Instead of imposing his will on the wood, he learned to feel its natural flow. His hands moved in harmony with the grain, his tools following the inherent patterns. What once felt like combat transformed into a graceful dance between craftsman and material. As you attune yourself to the rhythm of consciousness, you'll notice how life responds differently. Situations that once appeared as obstacles become invitations to move in new ways. Relationships that felt strained begin to flow with natural ease. Even challenges become opportunities to discover new steps in this cosmic dance. The quantum field doesn't force creation. It allows it to unfold through natural movement and flow. When you align with this flow, you'll find yourself moving through life with unexpected grace. Synchronicities increase, opportunities arise organically, and even difficulties resolve themselves with surprising ease. Through his woodworking, Howard discovered that mastery comes not from controlling the dance, but from becoming one with its rhythm. The same principle applies to every aspect of life, whether in work, relationships, or personal growth. The key lies in sensing and moving with the natural flow of consciousness, rather than struggling against it. Ancient practice of flow alignment. Begin each morning by sitting quietly and feeling the pulse of life moving through you. Notice your breath, your heartbeat, the subtle energies flowing through your body. As you move through your day, pause periodically to sense the natural rhythm underlying each moment. When facing decisions or challenges, take a moment to feel which direction holds the most natural flow. Move with that flow rather than forcing your way forward. Let your actions arise from this deep alignment, rather than from mental planning or willful effort. As you practice this throughout your day, notice how life begins moving more harmoniously, as if dancing with you, rather than against you. In Chapter 27, Transcending Cause and Effect. In a quiet garden filled with morning dew, Stella tended to her roses, each movement precise and measured. She had always approached life like her gardening, one careful step following another in perfect sequence. Plant the seed, water daily, wait for growth. Yet on this particular morning, something unusual caught her attention. A rosebud she hadn't noticed before stood fully formed, as if it had manifested overnight. The quantum field operates beyond the linear constraints of cause and effect that govern our everyday perception. Just as particles can influence each other instantaneously across vast distances, consciousness moves in patterns that transcend traditional sequence. Your present awareness ripples both backward and forward through what you perceive as time. As Stella observed her garden more closely, she noticed patterns she had missed before. Flowers seemed to bloom not in sequence but in harmony, responding to some deeper rhythm she couldn't explain. Some buds opened before their time, while others waited, as if all moments existed simultaneously in an eternal dance. The quantum nature of consciousness means that your present state of being influences not just your future, but your past as well. This isn't mere metaphor. Quantum physics reveals that observation affects particles' past states just as it affects their future ones. When you shift your consciousness now, you're not just creating a new future, you're also healing and transforming what you think of as the past. Stella began experimenting with this principle in her garden. Instead of following rigid schedules, she learned to feel the garden as a unified field of energy, where past, present, and future existed simultaneously. She noticed that her current state of peace seemed to affect how her plants had grown in previous weeks, and how they would develop in the weeks to come. The boundaries between before and after began to dissolve. This same principle applies to every aspect of your life. Your consciousness is not bound by time's apparent limitations. When you operate from quantum awareness, you're working with all moments simultaneously. This explains why deep shifts in consciousness often seem to reorganize your entire timeline, healing past wounds while simultaneously creating new possibilities. Ancient practice of timeless presence. Sit quietly and bring to mind a past experience that still carries emotional charge. Rather than trying to change or fix it, simply hold it in your present awareness with complete acceptance. Feel how your current consciousness of peace and wholeness naturally radiates both backward and forward through time. Notice how this same awareness can extend toward future possibilities, touching them with the same healing presence. Rest in this timeless awareness that transcends linear sequence, recognizing that all moments are accessible to the healing power of present consciousness. Chapter 28, The Invisible Becoming Visible. In the quiet dawn, a merchant named Vernon gazed at empty shelves in his shop, yearning to fill them with goods that would serve his community. Each morning, he would strain to imagine new possibilities, believing he needed to create success from nothing. Yet everything changed when he discovered an ancient truth: that which appears empty teems with invisible potential. You need not create what you desire. Every possibility already exists in the quantum field of pure potential, waiting to be recognized by consciousness. Just as an oak tree exists within an acorn, your desires exist now in unmanifest form. Your role is not to force them into being, but to serve as the bridge through which they naturally emerge into visible reality. As Vernon learned to steady his mind and attune to deeper frequencies of being, he began sensing the invisible currents of potential flowing through his shop. Rather than pushing for specific outcomes, he allowed his consciousness to rest in pure receptivity. In this space of allowing, he discovered that certain possibilities seemed to shimmer with readiness, gently requesting to be seen into form. The quantum field does not respond to force or demand. It responds to recognition, the clear seeing that collapses waves of probability into particles of experience. When Vernon ceased trying to make things happen and instead opened himself to what was already trying to happen, his entire business transformed. The right suppliers appeared at perfect moments. Ideal opportunities emerged effortlessly. His shop began filling with exactly what his community needed, as if an invisible hand was orchestrating events. You are not separate from the quantum field, but an expression of it. Your consciousness serves as the aperture through which invisible potential becomes visible reality. When you learn to sense what is ready to emerge, you become a midwife to manifestation rather than its taskmaster. This is the art of working with what wants to be born, rather than forcing what isn't ready. Practice each day. Set aside time to sit in receptive silence. Rather than visualizing specific outcomes, allow your awareness to rest in the fertile void of pure potential. Notice what begins to shimmer in your consciousness, what possibilities seem to be requesting your attention. Don't grasp at these impressions. Simply observe them with gentle awareness. As you sense something ready to emerge, offer yourself as a clear channel for its manifestation. Trust that what wants to be born through you carries greater wisdom than what you might try to force into being. As you rest, notice what gently shimmers into awareness. A feeling, an image, a word, a sense of direction. Do not grasp or chase after these impressions. Simply acknowledge them with gentle curiosity, like watching ripples form on a still pond. Carry this quality of receptive awareness into the rest of your day. Notice how opportunities, conversations, or inspirations emerge more effortlessly when you are not pushing against life, but flowing with it. Over time, you may discover that what seeks to be born through you holds greater wisdom and grace than anything you could have forced into being. Chapter 29, The Return to Simplicity. In the heart of a bustling marketplace, a wise woman named Iris sat quietly, watching the world unfold before her. After decades of studying quantum physics, ancient wisdom traditions, and the most esoteric spiritual practices, she found herself drawn to the simple act of witnessing life's natural flow. The quantum field responds not to complexity, but to the pure resonance of being. When you cease struggling against what is, you discover that the very simplicity you once dismissed as insufficient contains the entire universe within it. Like clear water reflecting the sky, a mind at rest reveals the infinite potential that exists in each moment. Iris observed how her breath naturally rose and fell, how sunlight danced on leaves, how strangers' faces lit up in fleeting smiles. In these ordinary moments, she recognized that her lifelong search for enlightenment had led her back to where she began, the sacred simplicity of now. All the complex theories and practices dissolved into the profound understanding that presence itself is the gateway to all possibility. In the quantum realm, wholeness precedes parts. When you rest in the wholeness of your being, the fragmentation of seeking naturally resolves itself. You need not piece together a perfect life through endless effort and strategies. Instead, allow yourself to sink into the completeness that already exists within this breath, this heartbeat, this moment of aware presence. As Iris watched a child delighting in a butterfly's dance, she smiled at how she had once believed transformation required elaborate methods and intense dedication. Now she understood the universe operates through elegant simplicity. Just as water naturally flows downhill and flowers naturally turn towards sunlight, consciousness naturally aligns with its own perfection when we stop complicating the process. The practice. Whenever life feels overwhelming or your spiritual path seems complex, pause and return to the fundamentals of being. Feel your breath moving in and out. Notice the sensations in your body. Allow your awareness to rest in simple presence. Remember that this moment, exactly as it is, contains all the wisdom and potential you seek. Let this basic awareness be your teacher and guide. Feel the rhythm of your breath as it enters and leaves without needing to change it. Notice the rise and fall of your chest, the subtle pulse of life in your heartbeat, the weight of your body resting on the ground or chair beneath you. Let yourself be held by this moment. Throughout the day, whenever you feel pulled into striving, worry, or complexity, return to this simple practice. Even one conscious breath can reset your inner state. Like Iris watching the marketplace, you'll discover that clarity, peace, and wholeness are never far. They live in the simplicity of now. Chapter 30. The Shift That Never Ends. In the days that followed, Ralph's quiet mornings on his front porch took on new meaning. As the sun rose each day, painting the sky in ever-changing hues, he noticed something profound. Each sunrise felt both familiar and entirely new, like consciousness itself exploring another facet of its infinite nature. The quantum field operates not through dramatic leaps, but through continuous unfolding. You might imagine that enlightenment arrives like a bolt of lightning, transforming everything in an instant. Yet the deeper truth reveals itself more subtly. Every breath offers a fresh invitation to recognize the vast consciousness that you already are. As days passed, Ralph found himself experiencing ordinary moments with extraordinary clarity. While washing dishes, he felt the warm water flowing over his hands and realized this simple sensation contained the entire universe. Walking to his mailbox, the crunch of gravel under his feet became a sacred song. Each moment opened into the next, revealing new depths of awareness that had always been present, waiting only to be noticed. What appears as repetition on the surface, the daily rhythm of sunrise and sunset, breath flowing in and out, actually contains infinite variety when met with fresh awareness. You need not seek special experiences or wait for dramatic shifts. The deepening is available now, in this very moment, regardless of what it contains. The quantum field responds not to your seeking but to your recognition. When you release the idea that awakening lies somewhere in the future, you discover that consciousness is already awake, already aware, already experiencing itself through your unique form. This recognition doesn't happen once but continues to deepen, revealing new layers of truth with each passing moment. Ancient practice of continuous recognition. Set aside moments throughout your day to pause and notice the awareness that is already present. Feel how this awareness remains unchanged while experiences come and go. Let each breath, each sound, each sensation become a gateway through which consciousness recognizes itself more fully. Don't strive for special states. Simply notice how every experience, from the most mundane to the most profound, arises within the vast space of your own awareness. This practice requires nothing except your willingness to be present to what already is. This practice does not demand concentration or effort. It is less about doing and more about remembering to notice what has always been true. Each recognition, however brief, plants a seed of familiarity. Over time, these glimpses weave into an unbroken thread of presence. Whether walking through a marketplace, washing dishes, or sitting in silence, awareness is not separate from life. It permeates it. By recognizing awareness continuously, life itself becomes meditation. Work, relationships, challenges, and joys all become expressions of the same field of presence. If you enjoyed this audiobook, I created a free ebook version for you. You can download it using the link in the pinned comment. Conclusion. Through these chapters, an ancient truth has quietly emerged, one that has always been present, like the space between your thoughts. The quantum field is not a distant force to be mastered, but the very essence of what you are. Every principle explored, every story shared, has been pointing to this fundamental recognition. You have discovered that the complexity of manifestation dissolves into the simplicity of being. The elaborate techniques and methods fall away, revealing the pristine awareness that requires no enhancement, no improvement, no becoming. This awareness, your true nature, has been the silent witness to every moment of seeking, every desire for transformation. The quantum field is not something you learn to manipulate, but something you remember yourself to be. Like waves remembering they are ocean, your individual consciousness is discovering its true nature as the infinite creative force expressing itself through your unique form. This recognition brings with it a profound peace, the peace of coming home to what was never actually lost. What appeared as a journey of learning has actually been a process of unlearning, releasing the layers of complexity that obscured the natural simplicity of being. The shift you sought was not waiting in some distant future, but present in every breath, every heartbeat, every moment of conscious awareness. As you close these chapters, understand that you carry within you not new information, but restored remembrance. The power to transform reality was never separate from your own consciousness. What you are is what you have been seeking. The eternal creative force that births universes, expressing itself through the unique form you call me. The quantum shift is complete not because circumstances have dramatically changed, but because you have recognized the unchanging awareness within which all change occurs. This recognition continues to deepen, not as a process of becoming, but as an endless exploration of what already is. Your true nature is this aware presence, timeless, boundless, and eternally creating. The simplicity of this truth may seem almost too obvious, yet it contains within it the power to transform everything. Not through effort or strategy, but through simple recognition of what has always been true. If you enjoyed this exclusive audiobook, I handpicked this next book which will change your life.